Hey everyone, and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. So this is going to be my 24-hour Magical Readathon reading vlog, if that makes sense. I don't know if what I said just made sense, but basically on Saturday, G from Book Roast is going to be hosting a 24-hour readathon, which is within the Magical Readathon. And it's currently Thursday, but I thought I would kick off this reading vlog today and record the intro now because I want to be there at 1 o'clock on Saturday, ready to start reading. I have actually already technically completed the novice path because I've already read 2 books that fit 2 of the prompts. So my priority now is to try and read some of the books for my character creation part of the readathon. And the book that I'm currently reading is The Bitter Twins by Jen Williams. This is the second book in the Winnowing Flame trilogy, which is an adult fantasy with a sci-fi twist. And the prompt that this is fulfilling is to read a book that's set in a forest or set outside. I think that's what the prompt is. I probably should have double checked this before I started filming this intro. Obviously I can't tell you much about this particular book because it's the second book, but the first book, The Ninth Reign, is set in this world where you have this city called Abora, and up until a few hundred years ago this city was ruled by this tree god, and it used to be a very beautiful city. It used to be very grand and very fancy. However, there was this invasion a few hundred years ago by these worm-like creatures, and the tree god died, and so as a result of that the people of Abora started to be affected by this illness. There's a lot more to it than that, but I obviously don't want to share too much because I don't want to give spoilers. However, one of the main characters that we're following in this series is a guy called Tourmalin who is from Abora, and he decides to leave and get out of the city because he doesn't want to sit away and wait to die like his ancestors have. And so not long after he leaves to travel the world, he meets a woman called Lady Vintage, and she hires him to be her bodyguard essentially. So Vintage is this very eccentric scholar type character, and she is also traveling this world because she wants to try and solve this mystery behind why certain things are happening in this world. There's also another main character called Noon, and she is a witch, and she can create this very powerful fire. And I think that's all I really want to say on the plot, because the plot of the first book, it doesn't really get going until quite a long way into the book, because a lot of the first part of the book is all to do with world building. And I think that if you like really clever world building and really mysterious world building where there's a lot of questions and you're not really sure what's going on, but then things start to click into place, then I would really recommend this series. I think that it's really underhyped. The first book was a 5 stars, and I have a feeling that this is going to also be a 5 stars. It's had quite a slow build up. However, I'm still really enjoying the writing and I'm really enjoying the characters, and so I have very high hopes for this. I might finish this tomorrow, or I might finish it as the first book of the 24-hour readathon, but we're going to see how it goes. I'm not actually sure what book I want to pick up after this because I have a couple of books that are still on my TBR. I think it depends on whether I'm in the mood for a thriller or for a literary historical fiction novel, because the 2 books that are still on my Magical Readathon TBR are 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard or The Final Revival of Opal and Nev by Dawnie Walton. So the next book that I pick up after The Bitter Twins will be one of those 2 books. But yeah, I think I'm going to just wait until Saturday and see what sort of mood I'm in. I am thinking that maybe the thriller would be a better option because I know that I'll be able to read that quite quickly. And I'm pretty sure that when I read The Nothing Man by Catherine Ryan Howard, I read that in a few hours because yeah, her books are quite short, and I'm pretty sure that 56 Days is only about 300 pages. So yeah, like I said, I think I'm just going to wait and see how I'm feeling when it gets to Saturday. Hey everyone, and happy Saturday. So the 24-hour readathon has officially began and I have finished my first book. So I finished reading The Bitter Twins and I really enjoyed this. I'm not sure whether it's going to be a 4 or a 5 stars. I haven't had a chance to run it through Corpile yet because I literally finished it 5 minutes ago. I'm not sure if I enjoyed it quite as much as The Ninth Reign, but I really liked how in this book you get a lot more of the sci-fi elements and you learn a lot more about this world. I think I did actually describe the backstory to this series. So basically there was this war a few hundred years ago between the Duralia and the Aborans. So the Duralia are these alien-like creatures. I think that's how they're described. No, they're described as being worm-like creatures. So yeah, essentially you're following these characters as they're living in this world that has been poisoned and that has been changed because of this war. However, there's not many people left alive that actually remember this war or the wars that led up to the first book. There's a lot of mystery and that is something that I do generally really like in books. You also learn a lot more of the history in this particular book and there's a lot more character development and there's also some new characters introduced which I really liked because I liked some of the new characters that were introduced. It was a little slow in parts but not like painfully slow. I think because I find this world so interesting, that kept me wanting to keep on reading. This series is also really funny. I don't know if I mentioned that, but the banter between the characters, there's just certain lines that just really made me smile and just, I think that all of the characters have very distinctive personalities, which is something that I do really like. I believe that Jen Williams is a British author and so yeah, the sense of humour is very dry and I just really liked it. So yeah, 4 or 5 stars, haven't decided yet, but I am now going to take this back to the library actually. It's coming up for about 4:20 and the library closes at 5, so I need to take this back and then pick up a couple of books that I've reserved. And then I'm going to make a start on my next book, which I still haven't decided what that's going to be, but I'll let you know once I have made a decision.
A few moments later.
Okay, I'm back and I thought I would quickly go through the books that I just got out of the library because there were 2 books that I reserved and I picked them both up and they're both continuations of series that I'm in the middle of. And the first book you might actually recognise because it's The Poison Song by Jen Williams. This is obviously the sequel to the book that I just finished. What is it called? The Bitter Twins. Wow, what is wrong with my brain today? Yeah, this is the 3rd book in the Winnowing Flame trilogy and I'm really hoping that I can get this onto my October TBR because I really want to read it soon, especially with the way that the last book ended. I've already talked about it so I won't talk about it again, but yeah, Poison Song is the first book that I picked up and then the second book that I got was Valor by Gwynne. So this is the second book in the Faithful and the Fallen series. So the first book is Malice, which I read, was it this month? I think I started it at the end of July and then I finished it at the start of August. Yeah, I think that's right. I know that I finished it quite recently and I want to continue this series soon. I want to make sure that I can remember the first book when I go into this because yeah, it took me a while to get into the first book because of all the characters and I have been told that this book does have a character list which will be really helpful because the one thing that I did struggle with Malice was that there was a lot of characters and I kept getting a little bit confused, but the ending of Malice was really good. It was really epic and action-packed and should probably explain briefly what this series is about. So it's an epic adult high fantasy that's set in a world where there are giants and there's this prophecy that there's going to be this battle between good versus evil. Yeah, basically you're following loads and loads of different characters across this world and as you go through the story you're not really sure who is going to end up being on which side, which is one thing that I did really like about the first book. So really excited to get around to this one, also hoping to get this on my October TBR, but we're going to see how it goes. I think I have decided that the book I'm going to start next is 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard because I'm feeling in the mood for a thriller. I don't know what it is, whether it's just this time of year, but I'm really in the mood to be scared. And I believe that this is a lockdown thriller. I don't know the right term of phrase, but basically it's about a couple that meet right at the start of lockdown and they decide to live together throughout lockdown because they don't want to be separated because things are going really well. And then I believe a few months later the police end up breaking into the apartment and there's a dead body in there, I think, is the basic premise of the book, but I guess we'll find out once I start reading it. So I am now 20% of the way through 56 Days and I'm really enjoying it so far. I really like the writing and the subtle details that have been included within the story. So the plot is basically what I said. There's two timelines. There's a timeline in the present day where you're following this police officer who's been called to investigate after a decomposing body has been found in this luxury apartment building. Then there's also a timeline that's set 56 days before that, where this couple meets and they start dating, and it's literally only a few days before Ireland go into lockdown. So the book is set in Ireland. I believe that Catherine Ryan Howard is an Irish author. One little detail though that I did like is that one of the main characters grew up on the Isle of Man, which is where my family are from, and I don't think I've ever seen the Isle of Man included in a book, so yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. I've never actually read a book that's set within the pandemic before, and so yeah, there's certain things that I'm liking. So for example, and this is the only example that I can think of, but one of the characters in the past timeline, she pulls down her coat to press a button, and just little things like that, I think, that are really making me feel like this is set during the pandemic. Really excited to carry on reading, and I'm definitely intrigued so far. Okay, so I'm now about 40% of the way through 56 Days, and I'm enjoying it still. It's a really interesting story. However, I'm being cautiously optimistic because I feel like this book needs a few good twists. There have been a few surprises, I think. I think what my problem is at the moment is that there is a little bit of tension, like this slow burning tension, but because I already know that something bad is going to happen, I mean, there's a dead body, so something is going to happen to cause that, and I don't know what that is yet, but outside of that, I'm not really feeling a huge amount of tension. It's definitely a slower burn. The timeline is also jumping around quite a lot, but I'm still finding it quite easy to follow, and it does make sense for the story why it's been written that way. I was expecting this to be a lot quicker and a lot faster paced than it is. It's definitely, yeah, a slower burn. Okay, I'm back. So I'm 60% of the way through 56 Days and I am still enjoying this. I feel like we are building up to something. I feel like there's still quite a lot to be revealed about certain characters, and I'm still holding out for something amazing. I think that if I had to make a prediction now, I would say that this is giving me 4-star feelings. Yeah, like it's solid. I really like the writing and I'm really liking just the way that the story has been plotted. It does feel unique, but that might just be because I haven't read any books that are set during the pandemic. So yeah, I'm still feeling pretty awake, so I'm going to try and finish this tonight. According to my Kindle, I should finish it in about an hour. And then I'm going to get some sleep. Have I mentioned yet I am planning to sleep for this 24-hour readathon? And then in the morning, I'm probably going to pick up my next book, which I might have mentioned earlier, is the final revival of Opal and Nev by Dawnie Walton, which is, yeah, on my Magical Readathon TBR, and it's on my Bookoplathon TBR. I'm probably not going to be able to finish all of it tomorrow because the readathon does end at 1 o'clock, but hopefully I can make a good start on it anyway. So I will update you in the morning with my final thoughts on 56 Days and then start my next book. That is the plan. Hey everyone, so it's now Sunday afternoon and I'm not having a good day today. I woke up really early, I think it was about 9 o'clock, where I sat down and I filmed a clip where I spoke about 56 Days and my final thoughts, and then I filmed another clip a few hours later where I talked about the final revival of Opal and Nev, and I have just come to edit this vlog and my microphone wasn't working properly, so I can't use either of those clips in this vlog, which is really, really annoying. So I'm going to try and recreate those clips and just wrap up my thoughts, because I did end up finishing 56 Days, and I think I'm going to give this 4 stars. I did end up really enjoying it in the end. I liked the way that the true crime elements were included within the story and the way that they were, yeah, woven through the plot, and I thought that it was very cleverly built up. It's not the kind of thriller that is very action-packed. It is much more of a slower build-up, and I think I've said that already. It's a slow-burning thriller, but I would recommend it. I think that if you're interested in the plot, then this is definitely one of the better thrillers that I've read so far this year. I liked how the characters didn't feel flat, which is something that I do sometimes find with thrillers, and it doesn't usually bother me, because when it comes to thrillers, I am much more of a plot-driven reader. It's weird, because when it comes to other genres, I'm all about the characters, but with thrillers, it's kind of a bonus if the characters do feel a little more fleshed out, which is what I found with this book. So yeah, 4 stars. I did also make a start on the final revival of Opal and Nev by Dawnie Walton, and I think I'm about 25% of the way through, and so far I am enjoying it. It's told in a really interesting way. It feels a little bit like a book within a book, because it's essentially about this journalist who's writing a book about Opal and Nev, who were both musicians in, I think, the 1970s. So you have sections that are written by the author, for example the introduction, where she speaks about how she comes to write this book, and then there's also sections that are told in this interview style format, like in Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So Opal is black and grew up in America, whereas Nev is white and grew up in Birmingham, which is not far from where I live. And I might have mentioned this before in vlogs, but I really like it when books talk about places that I recognise, because I live in the Midlands, and so yeah, there was a part where the author mentioned something about the Hagley Road, which is a road that I have actually driven down, and so I thought that was kind of cool. I do really like books though that are told this way, where it feels very realistic and the characters feel like real people. And for example, one character might say something, but then another character might contradict that, or they might say something like, oh, I don't remember it that way, but maybe that is true. And so yeah, really liking the structure of this novel so far and the way that it's been written. It is a 5-star prediction, and so I do have really high hopes that I am gonna love it overall, and for that reason I don't want to rush it. And so it's now just gone 1:30, and I think I'm gonna end the reading vlog here. I don't know whether I will end up finishing this today or whether I just leave it and pick it up tomorrow, but that does, yeah, bring me to the end of the reading vlog. So thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, let me know in the comments if you took part in the Magical Readathon 24-hour readathon, or if you're just taking part in the Magical Readathon in general. I think actually that I only have 2 more prompts left that I need to complete for the character creation part of the Magical Readathon, and then on my Bookoplathon TBR, I'm pretty sure that once I finish the final revival of Opal and Nev, I only have 1 book that I need to read, and then I'll have completed my Bookoplathon TBR. So smashing it so far. But yeah, thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already and you would like to see more videos from me, and I will see you next time. Bye.